Hello, good morning. My name is Daniel Penalosa. I am currently Chief Scientific Officer of Shrimpl. I'm a biologist by training, then I have a master's degree in aquaculture and a PhD in fisheries and aquaculture bioeconomics. So I'm going to go and talk about three main countries, which are Ecuador, Mexico, and a little bit of Brazil, and how these different countries had adopted different technologies. They are significant players, especially Ecuador, with more than 1.4 million metric tons of shrimp produced over the last year. They are the main shrimp exporters in the world, small domestic market. Mexico, on the other hand, has been a slow grower. They have been staggered around 120, 150,000 metric tons of shrimp produced per year, and most of it has been heavily deployed within the national market. About Brazil, it's a little bit of different market than the other two because Brazil mainly produce for their own market. They do not export and they do not import. So that creates a special bubble where prices are high and it's easier to maintain different production systems. So that being said, Ecuador, as opposed to the other two, has successfully created what I would call standard procedures. So if you go to Ecuador, most farms will have pretty much the same structure in terms of production. So large ponds between 4, 5, up to 8 hectares per pond. And then you have aeration, biosecurity protocols, and all of these usually centralized in large companies that can control most of what's going on in the farms. So this takes me to the digital tools that Ecuador has implemented, and I want to contrast it with Mexico in particular because Mexico has been a significant shrimp producer over the 80s and 90s, and then its production, although it increased, it staggered. Mexico has been reluctant to implement new technologies, and Ecuador, on the other hand, has been very advanced and has been able to implement new technologies such as feeders and other automation systems. The first technology implemented by Ecuador that helped them push through the first struggles and put them in the map was the feeding. So they were probably pioneers in implementing automatic feeders, and these automatic feeders helped not only improve the FCRs but also reduce the production cycles, and with that they were able to increase the productivity, the overall productivity of the country, along with aeration and water improvement, water quality improvement. This all led to very standard procedures. Now in Ecuador, you know pretty well how much 1 hectare will produce, what do you need to do to produce in that hectare, and what can you expect. If you fall out too much about these procedures, you start increasing your densities or have issues, you will have issues in terms of diseases and other components that have been very well controlled. After the implementation of these technologies, Ecuador is now looking into what they can do to centralize and improve their management of shrimp farming, not only at a farm level but at a country level. So to do this, they have two ways. One way is the administrative way. So they have very consolidated chambers of aquaculture. So the large farmers that have thousands of hectares work together so that their product is pushed as a whole in the export market instead of competing dramatically. That's number one. Number two is digitization. So they are trying to see what they can do to maximize and reduce or optimize the performance of each of their ponds based on data gathering and data management. So basically what Ecuador is doing is implementing tools that allow them to not only look at the data to maintain the pond, but look at the data to maximize and optimize their performance, centralize the data from farms that are all over the country, and then create special products or special operating systems specific to their farm and within the country alignment. On the other hand, if you go to Mexico right now, Mexico does not have the first pillar, so there's no one single lobby or consortium for the shrimp industry in Mexico that responds. There is significant farmer competition within the country, and they are very reluctant to implement new technologies. So they think that the best way to produce is the old way. And they do not have standard procedures. So if you go to different parts, even within the same region of Mexico, each farm has very different ways to produce, 1, 2 cycles. There's no standard procedure. Even though they are good at data collection, they usually use this data reactively, so to see what's going on and then react against that instead of proactively, meaning I know what I want to do, I have a plan, I have a structure, and then I'm going to use that data to follow and see how close I am to that structure. So if I would say what's the final message I want to convey about this to Vietnamese shrimp, is basically don't be afraid of technology. It usually has a learning curve. You need to put your effort and time to make sure that what you're doing, it's a digital transformation and not just a patch. Because once you achieve this digital transformation, especially if you do it now that it's very early in adoption, you can exploit and maximize the benefits of adopting it. If and the reality is everyone will eventually adopt it because it's the only way to move forward, not only in the aquaculture industry, but overall in any industry. So early adopters usually will get the largest profit of adoption. Natural adopters will then get a good chunk of it, and late adopters or non-adopters will eventually probably disappear or be absorbed by larger companies in a consolidation process that is not only for aquaculture, but it's also clear and it's what's happening in most of non-digitized infrastructures and industries. So overall, that's my point, and please feel free to contact me or any one of our Shrimpl team if you have any follow-up questions. Thank you so much.